And just like that, the Auburn Tigers lose another elite commitment.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me for today's bonus edition of the show, it is the Lindsay Crosby of thebarnauburn.com and a million other places. I want to get your thoughts on, we'll talk about some of the Ike Irish chatter around the MLB draft. That's some good news, but let's start with the bad news. We hinted at this morning's show. The writing was on the wall since this morning's show went up. It's now official. Devin Carter has flipped. The 4-star wide receiver has flipped from Auburn to Florida State. And this follows, obviously Shadarius Toodle flipping from Auburn to Georgia on Sunday. It's been a rough 24 hours for the Auburn Tigers when it comes to recruiting, and they just can't seem to get any sort of momentum going, Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm not that stressed out about this, which is
Good.
weird because I really feel like I'm in the minority here. Everybody else really is kind of bothered by some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm of the mindset of it's June. Like it's late June.
It is June.
Last I checked, most of the coaches for most of the schools are out on vacation. You're not having a lot of events and things like that. There's no actual stuff going on. And so, one, if he flips, it's because somebody gives him attention right now and or bag. But two, we've seen this coaching staff flip so many guys in the lead up to signing day. You flipped him from Florida State once. What is to say you're not going to do it again between now and signing day?
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly hope that's the case. I hope that's the case, and he's clearly not 100% sold to FSU, or like you said, he would have stayed committed there. So we'll see. Is it all NIL? Is it all like program success? Like so many people are responding on social media saying like, oh, well, it's because they've lost so much. I'm like, did you watch FSU last year? Like Auburn's not in the best spot. I'm not claiming for them to be, but they are in a better position than Florida State is. So this one does feel a little different. And I'm almost okay with also just saying like his situation of, his dad being a legacy. He was a big player there. And then, my understanding he's still involved with the program. Like that might've made things a little awkward. I'm not going to act like that's not a factor for sure, but the timing of it all stinks. It's brutal. And as we're about to go into this dead period of July, like you want some momentum, and Auburn has, a handful of guys where it seems like they lead for. And my question is like, if you're a coach, like, okay, like let's get some positive momentum going. They've got to stop the bleeding somehow.
Yeah, I can see the messaging value of let's get
perception is reality when it comes to recruiting.
Let's get some sort of flip in the days before the dead period. So that things look like they're fine on the outside. But, and I don't, there's just no inside knowledge here, right? But the flip side of this is we do know, I think we would be kind of crazy to not acknowledge that I'm sure NIL bags play a hand in this.
Sure.
And in this new era of college football, where you're going to have not only NIL, but you're also going to have payments from schools to players, I can see the business decision of, hey, we're not going to spend the money now, and we'll just take the perception hit, knowing that means we'll have more money to spend later. I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm saying that's possibly what's going on, right? Where, Toodle and now Carter, those are like Georgia had a good year. Florida State was atrocious last year, but those are also two heavily resourced programs. And so it's possible they said, hey, especially Florida State, given they went 2-10 last year, they said, hey, we need to make a splash. It is more critical for us to have that momentum now than it is to preserve that money for flips at the end of the day. Maybe.
And that seems to be the common sentiment from Auburn fans is, well, just win and you can flip all of these guys. And I agree with that to an extent, but when you're so far behind and you only have a handful of guys committed right now, are you ready to flip 8, 9, 10 guys closer to December? And that it's not going to be as dramatic because I do think Auburn's going to get some guys in the coming weeks. I do think that's going to happen. Not flips, but guys that they've been trending for. So like how many, so then to me, the question is, okay, if winning is so important, it's like, okay, if Auburn goes 8-4 or 9-3, that's going to take Shadarius Toodle away from Georgia. I just don't see the leap and lot. Like I don't fully connect those things, but some of them I agree with, like Devin Carter, especially if FSU doesn't, if they don't win many more games they did a year ago, like that one I could see, if things go south with Florida and maybe they have to make a change in Gainesville, does that change that conversation? Possibly. Like some of these I think make sense. Others, like the Toodle one, I don't know if I entirely agree with like, oh, if you go 8-4, you're going to get all of these guys back.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess why I'm not as worried about a lot of that is you've recruited really well the first couple of years without having the win-loss record. And I will agree with everybody who says you need to have the wins now. You absolutely do, right?
Winning fixes everything.
Yes.
Will it fix it immediately? I'm not sure.
Yeah. But the things that made Toodle commit to you in the first place, like nothing's changed between now and when he flipped, right? Nothing's changed between now and when Devin Carter flipped, except Toodle also flipped. And so I still would argue, like even on Toodle, if you have a good season and you're showing signs of progress, that there's no reason he wouldn't necessarily be open to flipping back. And again, part of it is maybe just I'm a little jaded at this point, and it's like there's no point in stressing out about this because
you can't hurt me anymore.
Exactly. Like, listen, like I'm an Atlanta sports fan. You can't hurt me. You 18-year-old kid deciding 9 months before you sign the piece of paper that you're not going to say you're committed to this one school is not going to hurt me emotionally at all. Because I have been hurt emotionally enough. See, by things like that, by the 28-3 mouse pad. Yeah.
You don't even feel it anymore.
I don't. Like, it does nothing to me. I saw that and like, I didn't even roll my eyes because I knew it was coming. Like, it just, I am immune to that. It's like that guy that keeps letting himself get bit by poisonous snakes.
I've seen
so much that like now his blood is an anti-venom. I have been snake bitten by Atlanta sports so much that
it stack Auburn on top of it. It's like Heartbreak City for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing that can hurt me at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, Devin Carter flips. Hopefully, they don't back off of Devin Carter, and he's they get him back in this class at some point.
I mean, Florida State didn't back off of him, and he ended up flipping back. So you just keep working on him. He's now on his third commitment. Florida State, Auburn, Florida State.
Right. Like what's to stop him?
Why would you stop now? Again? Yeah, why would you stop now? You don't stop until the pin is on the paper and it's filed
in December. That's right.
In December.
That's right. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Ike Irish continues to rise up mock drafts. What could that mean for Auburn baseball? What could it mean for Ike Irish? That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing. I think that pun is intended. Whether you're all about baseball or golf, high stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. And you also can bet on some Auburn football futures. 7.5 wins is still where we're at. And Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite over Baylor. If any of those lines entice you, they've got a kabillion lines over at FanDuel. It's virtually endless. So head over to FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers, you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Lindsay, is that a good return on your investment? Just quick yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first or second listen every single day, especially right now. Especially right now when we're not negative, like when we're not not the most positive place. Who? Ike Irish, though, we were talking about like 15th to 20th towards the end of the season. And now I'm seeing almost every mock draft I look at, he's top 10. That's exciting.
Yeah, so some of the intel I had midway through the year was that his floor was probably right there around 15, 16, like the Twins at 16 were fans, things like that. But as the season progressed and he started to look pretty comfortable in right field, and teams became more open to the idea of Ike Irish sticking in the outfield if he doesn't work out behind the plate. Like, he's one of the rare non-shortstop guys that you legitimately have 2 or 3 different development paths for him. You could keep him in the outfield and play him as a right fielder. He has a big arm for it. You can put him behind the plate and let him catch up on what he missed his final year of college. Or you could do something like put him at first base. He played some first base for Auburn last year. He's done it in the past, and that's a common catcher to first base. That's a common conversion guys can do. Joe Mauer just went in the Hall of Fame, catcher first half, first baseman second half. So he's one of the few non-shortstop guys where you have multiple development paths and you have a fallback if he doesn't work out behind the plate. It's just so hard to find good offensive catchers in baseball that is a reason to think that, yes, Ike Irish can be is going to be, I would argue, not only a top 10 pick, he probably ends up being the second highest drafted position player ever out of Auburn.
Really? Who's the highest?
The highest is Frank Thomas. He went at 7th overall. He's an MLB Hall of Famer. It's hard to argue that was a wrong pick. But then outside of that, like the next pick, if you go by for position players and you go by the overall pick number, is his coach, Gabe Gross, at 15. So you know he wants to get picked before that. He wants to get picked ahead of his coach.
And it looks like you will. It looks like he'll go higher than 15th, which is
a lot of the mock drafts are
Ike.
saying, and it's something where he has a combination of a lot of stuff, right? Like he has the track record of producing offensively, 3 years now in the SEC. He has the underlying batted ball data. Like, just because so many teams now, they're using models, they're inputting stuff and getting scores versus just what did our scout see in person.
Yeah.
And like he was 3rd overall among all hitters in the SEC in WRC plus, which is, weighted runs created. Like he was 52% better than the average SEC hitter. And
that's
all
crazy.
of the stats, batting average, on base, slugging, all of that stuff, he was like top 5 in the conference. But two things. One, he got even better in conference play. Like he improved in conference play. So many guys put up a huge stat line based off of what they do in non-con and weaker opponents. He got better in conference play. And then all the underlying stuff, he has a really rare combination of power and batter's eye and discernment. Like his hard hit rate in the SEC, 61%, led all college hitters projected to be first round prospects. Wow. Yeah. 6 out of 10 times when he hit the ball, it was at least 95 miles an hour. That's a hard hit ball, right? His average exit velocity was 94.6. So it was almost a hard hit ball every time he hit the freaking ball. Max exit.
Obviously, like he passed his eye test, right? But then you hear all these numbers, and it's like, oh, he was so much better than almost everybody. So that's exciting.
If I can tie into modern baseball for a second, I think what happens to Cal Raleigh right now for the Seattle Mariners is having a generational year. He has 31 home runs. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. It is the highest half-season total for any switch hitter in baseball history. Cal Raleigh was a very similar prospect to Ike Irish from the regards of he wasn't necessarily seen as a slam dunk, he can stick it catcher kind of guy. Okay. And because of a lack of playtime his final year, that's kind of where Ike is right now. He has all the tools, but there's questions about will he be able to stick at the major league level at catcher. Cal Raleigh having such an awesome year, as well as Austin Wells with the Yankees, I think that really kind of helps because these parallels are real. That's really how this works in MLB. You see a guy do it once, teams start to project, well, maybe this guy can do it too.
Yeah, sure.
It's like Aaron Judge being 6'7" and working out as not only a hitter, but one of the greatest of all time right now.
Yeah.
Means that teams have been more willing to let those 6'6", 6'7" guys with weird swings get drafted and work on them. So Ike Irish, I think if I had to guess right now, I'm going to say he's probably, 9th, 10th, probably the second college hitter off the board.
Okay.
Which is to me just much better than we thought it was going to be going into the year, especially after he missed time with the fractured scapula.
Right. And I could just hear people commenting now. Well, Lindsay, Casey Mize went first overall.
I said position players, people.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Greg Olson was drafted number 4 overall, but he's a pitcher. So was Casey Mize.
I'm just putting that out there as a disclaimer to, because I'm sure it's going to happen. Maybe it won't.
Somebody's going to try to correct Lindsay Crosby about knowing ball. And it's just, I feel sorry for that person who tries it. I thought you were going to say that, but I said it instead because you didn't say it. So
how can people check out everything you've got going on, bud?
I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. Tons of stuff right now. Obviously, Auburn's full swing. BravesToday.com, the Braves postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta, and BravesToday.com is the newsletter as well. Go for that.
Yep. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.